Okay, I just started the show, so okay, Tess, can you hear me okay? Excellent, thank you very much. All right, Facebook listeners, thanks. Appreciate you guys joining us today. Today's show is going to be an interesting one because it's on something that is dear to both of us, and that is trying to understand our sleep cycle and how cannabinoids might affect it. The interesting thing, and I just unveil this now before we start, is that the science and research is so new that it's just super contradicting so far. So really pay attention. You'll find some really helpful stuff in here, but it's just not ready yet. I can tell. The research is lagging because it just started. And some of this research is as recent as a month ago.
Yeah.
And again, I don't mess with any research unless you already know this about us. I don't mess with it unless it's been reviewed, and it's usually on Google Scholar and such as that. So, yeah. So once we get this conversation started, you'll probably witness that. There's not a whole lot of conclusive results yet. Lots of theories and. What is that? Hypothesis, but nothing conclusive just yet. They do suggest that cannabinoids are currently and have been successfully used to treat sleep issues. What they're finding is that it is Mother Nature, and our limited understanding of the endocannabinoid system inside of humans, everybody is different.
Well, yeah, I think that's the most important part is that it could work for someone wonderfully, and then the same person or the person next to them, it's not that it doesn't work, it just doesn't work as well. And then there you are with someone that feels like they need more CBD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can discuss it in the show. I mean, I have a customer right now that's just really going through it, and I think I've been dealing with her for about a month. No, gosh, probably 2 or 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say one of the things is try to diminish your intake of caffeine. Let's not do that today.
No.
I need all the caffeine I can get this morning just to get through some of these research papers.
Well, we thought that sleep was going to be an easy show. We're like, okay, well, let's do CBD and sleep. We talk about this all the time. We're educated, and we are about CBD and sleep, but not really as much about sleep. I mean, there's so many different angles to sleep.
Yeah, well, and I'll get into more details when the show starts, but there's even more of a description.
Yeah.
To that, even more than what you're suggesting. Right. So.
Yeah, and I guess we started the show a little early because we still have over a minute.
No, we just like talking to you guys personally. You're special to us.
Yeah. Okay, I guess we have 30 seconds. So if you need to go get another cup of coffee.
All right, more caffeine.
Right. Oh.
Yeah, we're staying up all weekend. Yes, please. All right.
So 15 seconds isn't that long. Plus we have to listen to the charging code.
They do the dance. We think you guys can hear it, but you probably can't.
They can't hear it.
CEO of Cannafyl, a manufacturer of CBD-infused products for human and pet consumption. In this program, we will discuss the uses of CBD and other methods for alternatives and complements to conventional medical treatment. Now, here is your host, Ed Cheney.
Hey, welcome listeners to the CBD Ed Show. This is Ed Cheney, your host and CEO of Cannafyl. Kimberly Rose, my beautiful co-host. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone.
Today's discussion. All right, let's bring some seriousness into this. Today's discussion is on using CBD to help with sleep.
Yeah.
All right, audience, let me tell you where this is at today. CBD and THC have been commonly used both in the recent future and in the recent past, as well as in history.
Yeah.
As something to help with sleep. But what I discovered is this. The way it was helping with sleep was predominantly calming you, predominantly getting rid of aches, predominantly getting rid of anxiety. The current sleep studies that are being dealt with right now are more about going into the sleep cadence, the rhythms, and the production of proteins that are designed to either retard or advance that cadence. So the science is much, much deeper and extremely young. One of the big papers that we had to pore over is that research paper is only a month old.
Right.
Okay, so the conclusive of that opening statement is that yes, cannabinoids have been used, but more of a use towards things that they were already doing for you, like inflammations and anxieties. Those were the things that were helping. But now they're in bigger, deeper research where they're discovering how those cannabinoids are affecting the CB receptors that actually create things that advance the sleep cycle and cause more up and down regulation of things that either excite or calm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, and I don't know if, I know in THC there's two types of, there's a sedative side and right? It's indica and sativa.
Correct.
And which one is the sedative? Is it the indica
Yes.
or the sativa?
I don't
We don't know a whole lot about the THC side.
But it doesn't matter because that's really not on today's
Yeah,
agenda
I
anyway.
know.
Yeah.
I know. I was just wondering if CBD had that also.
Oh,
kind
two
of
bears? No.
to-
No, remember because of the non-psychoactive of CBD and the fact that CBD does not create issues of psychoactivity, that whole molecule acts so much differently than
Right.
THC.
Sure.
All
Okay,
right?
that makes
Now,
sense.
it also is really good why they're both better together than they are apart. But it's kind of a different conversation
Right.
around that question you just asked.
Yeah, I just have had customers ask me, is this
Okay.
a sativa or an indica? And
Yeah.
I said,
We're gonna find out
I
for
don't
everybody
think
on the
we
break.
have that issue in the CBD world.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we do not.
Okay.
But we'll answer that question during the break for everybody, okay? Well, let's get started with, how about just kind of an intro into this issue? This issue is, nowadays people are really spending more attention or issues that are spotlighted more all around diet and nutrition and exercise, right?
Yeah, just becoming healthier
Yeah.
in general.
But the reality is sleep problems outweigh those by almost double.
Right.
So there are more Americans having issues with their sleep than anywhere near the ones that are having problems related to diet, exercise, and such as that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where I think a lot of Americans kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not getting good sleep. They just tend to try to push through it. We're going to give some help today on this.
Yeah, because not only will CBD help, but there is things that you can do throughout the day to help.
Yeah, they suggest that over 60% of Americans report having problems sleeping. They suggest that there are over 70 different sleep disorders.
I mean, that part really threw me off.
Yeah.
I thought you either
Had a
got
problem or
sleep
not.
or you didn't. Right.
Well, somebody got paid to come up with a lot of those names so that they could validate their position.
Right.
I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure there's some better rationale than that. Okay, so there are several reasons why people have a hard time sleeping. Abundance of caffeine, probably one of the biggest ones. Mental issues, stress, right? Those things are contributing a lot. Medications contribute to sleep problems, as well as excessive noise and interference, like blue light from our devices.
Right, yeah.
So these are all things that are common reasons why people are struggling with sleep. Yeah, getting their sleep. Let's see. Also, there are multiple solutions. The solutions we're going to talk about today are mostly natural solutions, but there are over-the-counter and prescription medications that are commonly used for sleep. Almost all of the pharmaceutical medications are all sedative in nature. Predominantly, most of the over-counter ones are sedative as well, but have other components in them like anti-inflammatory and so forth and so on, pain relief.
Yeah. All the over-counter medications that I've taken for sleep, I always wake up groggy.
Yeah, it's a very common side effect.
Yeah, I can't. I usually cut with an Advil PM in half.
Yeah.
Just so that I can get the night's sleep but not have that lagging thing in the morning.
Yeah, and the studies actually started in 2014 and earlier about using CBD for sleep issues, and those studies were very pro about CBD. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, early in, CBD had been shown to improve people who were suffering from chronic sleep issues. These studies pointed primarily at CBD's ability to interact with GABA receptors and serotonin receptors in the brain, because GABA was mainly known as an inhibitory neurotransmitter, meaning that it provides calm to the brain.
Yeah. Yeah, we know that CBD calms the body.
Yeah. Now, so those were the early studies. Now, herein is the interesting thing of today. Today, they're focusing in more specifically into this cadence that we were talking about earlier, and all the stuff from back in 2014 is just getting swooped off the table. So, and I know that we will also have personal experiences to share with you that are relatives to some of these findings. And that's what I would like to do, is to dive in and start talking about some of those researches.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm going to do that first by, let's see, I'm going to stay on course first. I'm going to make sure I do that correctly. All right, so the first thing is I'm going to break where they're studying into a couple of groups so we can understand this a little bit better. We'll be talking about the circadian rhythm. We're going to talk about neurotransmitters relative to sleep. We're going to talk about the advancing and retarding of the circadian rhythm, and then the different types of sleep, or some might call that phases of sleep. So let's first start out with the circadian rhythm, often known as your circadian clock. Now, this thing regulates a number of functions in your body, one of them being your sleep-wake cycle.
Right.
Now, interesting, the circadian rhythm, or the circadian clock, is located in, are we ready? I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly, but I'm only going to pronounce it once, and then we're just going to use the acronyms after that.
Good.
The suprachiasmatic nucleus. This is the master regulator of your circadian clock, and it's located in the hypothalamus part of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're now going to reference that as your SCN. So your SCN is the master regulator of your circadian clock.
Okay.
Perfect. And it's got, a primary function, and that is to create, this clock was designed by creating proteins that are called clocks and BMALs. Those proteins, when created, they come together and then they create what they call purrs and cries. I know, sounds a lot, but let me tell you what those two are, the purr and the cry. They are temporal expressions of light and dark.
Oh, I see.
So that depending on the level of them, they are interpreting the light and dark that is around you, and then those levels change throughout the day to create a 24-hour cycle. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And those things, once they're produced, they just bind right to the DNA, and it affects then when things start to work and when things shouldn't work, and so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that is your SCN. So again, it's the master of your circadian clock. Your clock is designed to recognize light and dark.
Okay. And so does that mean, so when, the sun is rising, then your clock says it's time to get up?
Right.
It's time to turn the brain on, turn all functions on, and you're ready for your day.
You are saying that correctly. And it is intelligent. It understands that there is a system of reputations, and it adjusts. When we go on long airline flights, it's the long ones that throw us off because it just knocks it out of rhythm. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, I can deal with some extra light for a couple hours, but man, you're throwing me 8 hours or 9 hours of light.
Yeah.
So that's when that what do they call it, jet lag kicks in.
Right.
Okay. All right. So understanding that was kind of an interesting thing, that your sleep is mostly managed by this clock, this system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one that gets messed up the fastest.
Yeah.
All right? It's the one, it's where all the troubles are. Okay, now let's talk about neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters, once it has been determined where you are at in this clock, right? Because we have these expressions of light and day,
Mm-hmm.
then your system of neurotransmitters start to go to work. And they create things like, all right, again, I'm going to just try to pronounce this once and not try it again. Acetylcholine. And I actually do. I go to Google and I
Yes,
put that
it
little
does.
sound thing and try to pronounce it a couple times, but it really is. Anyway, which is a neurotransmitter, and it's designed to excite the SCN. It's the thing mastering your clock. It's designed to create things that excite it. It's on a wake cycle, or
It's
it's
on
in
wake.
or you're in deep REM sleep. That's when those things start kicking in. The other neurotransmitter is GABA. GABA inhibits calming. It inhibits things that will stop things from being calm. So both of those neurotransmitters are very common in your circadian clock, because one brings levels up and one brings levels down. Okay?
Gotcha.
Now then we go to advancing and retarding this system. Here's what I mean by advancing. As winter hits, it starts getting darker earlier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So your system wants to advance. It wants to arrive at the sleep earlier. It's just advancing, that's all.
Okay.
You change locations on the planet, and it has to advance or retard. And retarding is just the opposite.
Okay.
Okay, so your system now will generate other types of neurotransmitters that are designed to affect that advancing and retarding, i.e., problem number 2.
Yeah.
Okay? So the things that are causing your circadian clock to either advance or retard. Now, let's just stay here for a second, because if you are over the age of 40, you already know this is happening.
Yeah.
You've got people that have an advanced sleep disorder, meaning they get tired right around 6 o'clock, and they're just really super tired. And then 10 o'clock comes around, boom, wide awake.
Wide awake. And we know who that is.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have people who have the retarded system, where it's retarding, and those are your night owls. So they didn't fall asleep. They didn't feel sleepiness at 6 o'clock, but they're still up at 11, midnight, 1 o'clock, and they're sleeping until 10 o'clock the next morning. Okay, so this advancing retarding thing is a real deal. And it is probably where cannabinoids, where most of the research is focused. Good? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's talk about stages of sleep. All right. The medical community looks at stages of sleep this way. There's a waking stage, there's a light stage, and a deep stage. the deep stage is what we're all interested in. Why? Because the deep stage includes these two styles of sleep: REM and non-REM.
Yeah.
All right, REM is rapid eye movement. So they just called that, way back when. The rapid eye movement indicates how active your brain is. The more active it is, by the way, the less healing is being done.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, because your brain is awake.
Your sleep, you want the most of your sleep to be in non-REM, but you're still in deep sleep. Those two are areas of deep sleep. So you want most of your deep sleep to be in non-REM.
Okay.
Okay.
And so
You might
does that mean
recognize
you're
REM.
dreaming or
You still dream, but a lot less.
A lot
You're
less.
producing a lot less of those excitatory neurotransmitters.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now most of you guys will recognize REM. REM is, when you wake up in the morning, but then you go back to sleep, and you
Yeah.
wake up and go, "Oh my God, that was the craziest dream."
Yeah.
That's REM.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't like that. I don't like that feeling because I also feel groggier
Yeah. Right.
after that. Or if I take a nap during the day, I can't take a nap during the day.
Yeah.
I wake up in the
Some people can. Some people can't.
Yeah, I just
Right.
worse mood, groggy, don't want to do anything.
Yeah. All right. So let's play around with our knowledge here then. I want to read. Now, this was from a study. Gosh, most of these month-old, couple months old, really super new.
Yeah.
But let me just read this statement here. Doo-doo. Okay. Yeah, I know. This is fumbling, not making me look so great, but
yeah, you get to
that-
see what happens behind the scenes.
That is what it is. Okay, so one of the things that they're looking at is daytime exposure to cannabinoids was known to elicit a phase advance, which is a shifting of that circadian time,
Okay.
which was exactly what we all started to feel very early on. So listen, when you're going to your CBD provider and he's suggesting this is not wrong. They knew this, and it is well understood.
Yeah.
All right, but let me go all the way to the back of it, because you certainly don't want me to try to pour through it.
No.
All right, the rapid synthesis of endocannabinoids and the fact that they are not stored provides a challenge to determine which endocannabinoids are mediating the role in the circadian timing. I wanted to share that because that's where they're struggling with right now. Let me say that again. Because these cannabinoids are not stored and they're created very quickly, they're really having a hard time understanding who's doing what.
And are they just talking about the two
major cannabinoids,
Right.
which are CBD and THC. Minor cannabinoids, yes, they're mostly doing these because those are the most abundant. These two major cannabinoids those cannabinoids that they're talking about also are the two major cannabinoids that are made by your receptors once CBD is in your body, and those are called anandamide and 2-AG. You've heard us talk about those a lot.
Yeah.
They're both happy molecules, but one's more of a calming one and one's more of an excitatory one. Okay? So we use this a lot when we're treating people with anxieties. We use CBD because of these two molecules.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Let me just, it's known that the hippocampus, the anandamide inhibits glutamate. We already knew that, whereas 2-AG mediates excitatory. So what they're struggling with now is the 2-AG. So they are aware that these receptors are in a place where there are other sleep components being activated. So they know cannabinoids have a process there. They have a reason for being there, but they're still trying to interpret which of these is upregulating the excitatory molecules, because those are the ones that are causing the problem.
Okay.
Let me share a little bit more. So and they summarize this: cannabinoid sleep therapies, including phytocannabinoids, THC and cannabidiol, so that's THC and CBD. Although their efficacy for sleep disorders is not yet known, it will thereby be important to determine whether THC and CBD are capable of producing some astrocyte-mediated phase advances in the endocannabinoid system.
Okay.
Okay, now.
That all means further research to come.
Well, again, but let's keep talking through this. Let me stay on my thing. So the advancing and retarding of your circadian cycle, as it's referencing here about the production of 2-AG and anandamide.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are listeners out here that have experienced this. They started taking THC for their sleep, and in those beginning weeks and maybe even months, it was working, and then all of a sudden it stopped working.
Right.
We found, so the research is pointing towards one reason for that. In the beginning, it was working because THC, your body is known to become resistant to THC over time. And so we talk about that all the time. We have to take a break. You have to pull back for a month.
Yeah.
And then you go back to it. And if you're a user, you probably are already aware of that. If you needed to do it, you know how to do it.
Right.
Anyway, but when it becomes immune to the THC, there are still components of that plant that are upregulating 2-AG, which is an excitatory neurotransmitter. Thereby, your sleep didn't go back to where it was. It actually got worse.
Oh.
Because this molecule is creating 2-AG, which is an excitatory enzyme, and it's creating, your body's not calming anymore.
Right.
You're probably noticing that you are wide awake.
Wide awake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to share that with you because the understanding when it came to THC so far, and this is how we'd like to be able to help with you today, is if you're using THC for your sleep, you must be prepared to take breaks every once in a while. And
during that time, are you talking like no cannabinoids?
No
so
THC.
Don't even go over.
No.
Oh, okay.
Just THC. No THC. Your body does not get immune to CBD.
Okay.
It only gets immune to the THC, the effects of it.
Okay.
Now, and they suggest, a month because it's stored in the fat and you got to get rid of it and so forth. So,
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
Okay, and now everybody's going to be different. So this might happen to one person in a month. It could happen to another person in 5 months. You're right? So that is the other thing that they're very, very aware of, is the uniqueness of everybody being different. Everybody's system is uniquely different.
Sure.
Okay, let's keep going. When it comes to CBD, one of the things that they are finding is that first and foremost, CBD does a great job of relieving your anxiety so your brain's not wandering while you're trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
It also is going to calm all your muscles. If you have any pain and inflammation, all that's going to go away. Those are all the natural contributors to your ability to fall asleep. Those are all still good, and research is conclusively saying we're all good there.
Yeah.
But what they're finding is an excessive amount of CBD might be contributing to an upregulating of excitatory molecules. That's what they're suggesting. And it's going to be different in every person.
Yeah, that's the thing. And are you talking about the amount of milligrams?
Yes.
Or just the constant use?
The number of CBD molecules
Okay.
was important. And I think also the amount of times you do it too.
Okay, because I was going to say, so are you saying you don't need that much CBD to sleep?
It's a very good question, and what I think we're going to recommend, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll make some recommendations on that, because I really wanted to get a few more things in here before moving over to what we've experienced with both ourselves and other clients.
Yeah.
To see if we can help come to a little bit of a legitimate recommendation.
Well, yeah, because I mean, obviously, I'm talking to people every day about this. I really want to be able to,
Yes, yeah.
And 99%, they're all great. They're all doing wonderful. I do have that 1% that it's just I can't figure out.
I'm seeing that too.
The solution, and maybe it's not. I think it's just her sleep cadence is what I want to say.
Yep.
My one customer that I'm focused on right now.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know the answer.
Yeah, I think if you are struggling in this way with your advancing and retarding of your sleep cycle, you are not the majority, you are a minority. And so I want everybody to know that.
Yeah.
So in general, CBD is very effective in this area.
Right.
But for that small percentage, let's pay attention. Let's see if we can help you find an approach that might be better than the one you're using right now.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to see. Is a delivery system better? A different? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. We'll wait for the next section.
Right, because once I start on it, I don't want to move off of it too quick.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then while we take this break, I'm going to go kind of pour through some notes and see if I can formalize a good approach to this solution for you as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to see how we can help you.
Bye. Oh, I'm not saying goodbye to them. Just them.
Okay. That was so funny. So our producer's getting ready. Okay, all clear. Wait a minute, I can't say anything yet. Kim's still talking. She gonna say anything else? Oh, no, okay, we're all clear now.
I'm done.
Oh my goodness. This was a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It really was. I started, and I actually knew where this was going 2 days ago, and I personally know that getting a good night's sleep is so important, especially for a person my age, and it's so important. To be able to be super effective at work, to heal the things you need to heal, because our age, it's just a little harder to do those things. So I am super personal. This subject is super personal to me.
Well, because again, I think as you get older, you cherish your sleep more.
Because you understand the benefits of it.
Right. So when you're young, you're like, I'll sleep tomorrow. Oh, I only got 2 hours of sleep. I'm fine. And,
Yep.
But when you get older, and I can't even stay up. I mean, unless I am really like out somewhere doing something, I can't stay up past 10 o'clock anymore, which is
terrible.
You
can't. I've watched that. Yes. All right. Do that. Right now, I'm just pouring over how I'm going to approach this.
This is not the fun part of the show. This is where we try, and especially when we think it's going to be an easy subject, and we start doing the research, and I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday, and I told Ed, oh boy, this is this is a lot of work. Yep. And hopefully we have gotten to a place where we understand sleep.
You are tuned into the CBD Ed Show. If you have a question that you'd like addressed on a future episode of our program, please send an email to info@cannafyl.com. That's info@cannafyl.com. Now back to the CBD Ed Show.
Hey, listeners, welcome back. I really appreciate that you're joining us today. I hope we're doing a good job giving you some needed information.
Yes.
If sleep is one of the things you would like to do better at. Let's move on to what they call non-REM stability. All right. Why is that even a term? Non-REM stability. So when we talked about the phases of sleep, deep sleep is where you want it to be.
Yeah.
But REM is a stage of deep sleep that does not provide any healing. So the one that you want to be in is non-REM. That's when the brain activity is the least, but you are in deep sleep, so your body then is in a healing place. When we talk about that, that appears to be, I had already shown, that appears to be the one thing that's important. They recognize that the neurotransmitter, I told you I wasn't going to say this again, but I will. The acetylcholine is an inhibitor of excitement.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons it became something for them to look at is because when they recognized you were in the REM state, they found that there were a lot more of these neurotransmitters present when you were in REM.
Okay.
All right, so, and they recognized that your CB receptor was capable of producing that and GABA.
Okay.
All right, so trying to understand how it's choosing is where they're currently at.
Right. But so basically you don't really have any control over this. This is just your brain and how it's
Correct.
doing.
And you and I are uniquely different.
Yes.
All right. Now, from this place, we are okay to give some recommendations here. We already gave you one recommendation, and that is you consider your THC use when you have when your sleep is becoming a challenge.
Right.
Is you need to take a vacation from
Yeah.
your THC for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you have to completely cut it out. It doesn't work unless you completely cut it out.
So you can't just use it during the day and not for sleep, or?
Correct.
Okay, so you have
Because
to-
when your CB receptors, because THC stays in your body for a while, so your CB receptors are still being exposed to it, and if they're immune to it,
Okay.
you've got to cut them out. You got to cut out THC until your receptors rebound from that. And most of the reports I've read are in the neighborhood of a month.
Okay.
All right? So that's THC. If you're using CBD for sleep, I'm going to make another suggestion. If you are challenged, you're using CBD, and your sleep is now being challenged, is not working, then my suggestion is severely back off the CBD. Bring it down to a 15, 20 milligram a day or something, half of what you've been doing. But hey, if you're doing 100, because they did, back in 2014, they reported 160 milligram use of CBD daily was really doing a great job for people sleeping. Yes.
So not one dose of 160
Yes.
milligrams, just they were throughout the day.
Nope.
No.
One dose, 160 milligrams.
Wow.
2014 study, 160 milligrams was reportedly over the entire group of people. The majority of them had improved sleep.
And how long, did they say how long that went on for, that
No,
study?
I didn't. No, I didn't go into those.
That
But
seems like a really high number.
yeah, but we've ran into this before.
Yeah.
We do rodents at 300 milligrams of
Yeah.
CBD during studies. So the number didn't surprise me. Remember, the World Health Organization already suggests that your body has no issues with this.
Sure,
Right.
yeah, I just,
Yeah, it just seems like a lot, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to this, the uniqueness of that study in 2015 is exactly like it is today. It is that you and I are uniquely different. So 10% of us are going to respond differently than the other 90. I look at those stats on that research, and that's exactly what I saw. But they just made it conclusive back then. They were like, oh, it just works. Because the majority it's working for. Let's go. Let's let it out.
Yeah.
But now they're digging in. They're going down the rabbit hole. And they're finding out the why that small portion did not respond well to that. And that's where we're at today. So we're assuming that CBD was encouraging an upregulation of something that was excitatory.
right.
And so our recommendation, knowing CBD the way we do, is back off the amount so that you get the other great benefits. The benefits of decreased inflammation, pain signaling, calmness from the anandamide. You know, those things all will contribute to your sleep. You'll bring your cadence back, and it should work out. But if you are what we would naturally do, and what we've seen people do, including your client Dell,
Yeah.
is instead of pulling back, the knee-jerk reaction is to increase. I even did it. I was doing 130, going, what the heck's going on here? And the system wasn't improving. But yet it was terrific back at 25 milligrams. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not suggesting even this is always going to work, because as you age, your circadian rhythm also adjusts or is impacted by your age. You will find more of us struggling with this after 40 than those before 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang it.
And again, I mean, that definitely was her natural reaction to this worked, but it could work better. And then, so she went up. I mean, she went up as high as she could in the store. And the CBD is working. When she falls asleep, she sleeps. And she could sleep for 10 hours.
Okay.
But she's not falling asleep until like 4:30 in the morning. And so
She's got the retarded sleep disorder. There's actually a name for it. That's one of the 70, but...
And we're going to find out later on today other things I can suggest to her.
Exactly.
You heard my last conversation with her. I said,
I
I
did.
think we need to treat you like a newborn right now and kind of switch you around and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, and keep in mind, again, the retarded sleep disorder is common amongst, as we age. It becomes more and more common.
Right. Well, usually, most people say you don't need as much sleep the older you get. Is that true?
I have not seen anything that suggested that.
Yeah, I didn't think it was true, but most people, you know how older people are up at like
I know.
5 in the morning.
I know. But I don't know if that was because they didn't need it. I think that was all about your circadian system.
Okay, so
Right.
because they're not going to sleep at 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
They're still staying up. I don't know.
Yeah. So, listen, I have a lot of peers, a lot of business executives that go, dude, I only need 6 hours of sleep. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm one of them. But that doesn't mean that that's what your body needs.
Right.
That is likely us just coming to terms with it.
You think?
I'm like, I don't need any more than 6 hours. That's because that's what we're stuck with.
Yeah.
So.
See, I've always known I need 8 hours, and I always.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, we always knew I needed more sleep than you did.
Well, look how pretty you are. That beauty sleep is definitely working. I'd probably be prettier if I could get 8 hours in, but I don't see it happening.
Well, you should give it a try. It's great.
Got a company to run. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay. So, again, I gave you a recommendation with THC. You got to take a break. The recommendation with CBD is to pull back and try to go back to just the normal reasons why CBD was effective. Allow your circadian clock to get back into a rhythm, and then just hold out there for a bit. And if you do an adjustment back up, remember, you are the minority. So if you do an adjustment, make them small.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely don't think you need 160 milligrams of CBD to fall asleep at night.
I think that's where the study is pretty conclusive, but not positive yet. Okay, so 160 might work for some people.
Well, and like your tolerance is much higher than mine.
Now, in addition to that recommendation, so pull back on the amount of CBD, go back in, see if you can get your rhythm. Well, to get your circadian rhythm back in, we're going to make other recommendations as well.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's the trend that current research is finding out, that it's either too much or it's because each of us are different and some are less likely to produce than others. Really, that's it. Now, this is not a synthetic molecule created by science. So, of course, Mother Nature is going to be uniquely different from plant to plant, from season to season, and so forth.
Right.
Conditions of the environment and crops and so forth. And then each of us are uniquely different.
Right, which
So-
is why I don't need as much of something as
Right.
you do, right?
And at the end of the day, your endocannabinoid system, your state of homeostasis has a huge effect on all of this.
Right.
Okay, so just repelling it makes no sense at all to anybody. Okay, so I'm just not going to use this, and I'm going to go back to synthetic pharmaceuticals. No, I mean, none of the research is pointing towards that at all.
Right, and you'll get to a point where, like I got, because I was using Benadryl for not only my allergies, but for sleep, and my doctor was like, absolutely no more of that, and no more, pain medication. So the alternative for CBD is that it's all natural, and it's not something that you're gonna have some side effect.
Yeah, and I'll read it here. It says, because of the way each person reacts to cannabis is highly individualized, the specific response for everyone is different and based on the endocannabinoid system that you have inside of you. Every one of us has cannabinoid receptors that are distributed throughout the body, and that is what will determine the best CBD dosage, and no two people will be the same. So being able to provide a standardized dosage program does not work, and it never really has. But an approach to dosage is an effective way. But there just needs to be a little understanding. So hopefully whoever you're buying your CBD from will have some of this knowledge. If not, there are definitely places to get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
In the very beginning, I always tell my customers, the first month is where you're
I know.
figuring out
Agreed.
your milligrams. Your milligrams are not my milligrams. So that's what you really have to do with CBD. It's not a prescription that says, oh yeah, this is what you take and this is for everybody. No, you have to feel it out. You have to try it. Sometimes I don't want it in the morning. Maybe I just want it in the afternoon. You have to figure out your milligrams.
And the good news about CBD is, again, you can take it all the time. It's not like THC.
Right.
It doesn't accumulate. It reacts. The CBD molecule reacts so much different than the THC molecule when it's inside your endocannabinoid system.
Yeah, and I say if you're going to CBD product for sleep, you look for something that is, okay, so Cannafyl, we did the relax. We made it really geared for sleep.
Right, and I think what Kimberly's suggesting, that if you are that small percent that's struggling here, look for a CBD sleep solution that has additional products in it.
Yeah.
Like terpenes that are designed to have an effect that will contribute to your sleep. There's terpenes, or plant terpenes, that have a calming characteristic to it. There are lavender oils that have a calming effect to it.
Right.
There are things that can get added to this product. So if you are part of that small group that is struggling in this area, look for a manufacturer that has additional components added to their CBD solution, which will always be on the ingredient. So if they're doing it, they definitely want to promote that they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So good point, Kim. Good point. I think that is very important.
Well, CBD will work on its own, but
does.
if you give it a little more power
Yeah.
with some more natural things
Yeah.
from the plant and, an essential oil, all those things.
Yeah, I think Cannafyl uses myrcene, limonene, and
Is it Carol?
it's not carotene. It's I hate when I do this. Limonene, I believe.
Yeah.
And lavender. So those are the extra 4 components. But they had to be engineered, they had to be designed.
Yeah.
You
Right.
can overdo those as well. But anyway, and the lavender has to be a consumable lavender. It can't be the kind that you just vaporize or, put on your skin. You have to be able to ingest this type.
Yeah.
So ensure that you're a quality provider, because a lot of these essential oils you can't ingest.
Right,
Yeah,
yes, no,
so
you have to be
that's-
careful with all of those
that's
things,
kind of important.
yes.
All right, so what, let's see, let's move across. Hey, let's play around with some other, remedies for sleep issues. Let's see. All right, how to maintain a healthy circadian rhythm.
Yeah. I think a lot of us are going to recognize a lot of these things, especially if you're a parent
Yeah.
and you say things like, oh, I'm going to let those kids swim all day because they'll sleep all night,
Right.
So it's extra. I think that's one thing that's really missing from us adults that get over 40. Maybe we're missing one of those things like exercise and just wearing ourselves out during the day.
Yeah, because we tend to focus. We tend to focus in on accomplishments at work, accomplishments at home. After a certain age, you just get like hard focused in on things, and sometimes we forgot. We forgot about us.
Right.
Now, what they suggest here is that your circadian rhythm is under your control, but not fully. So what that means is you can have effect on it, but it's usually because you are creating an environment for it to adjust to.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Right.
All right. So, given that, all these examples are all environments that you're going to create, and over time, your circadian rhythm will respond. It is not an overnight solution.
Yeah.
And I have personal experience here.
Yeah, but you're still in charge, right? You're in charge.
You're in charge to create this environment.
Yes.
So, hey, seek out the sun.
Yeah.
So they're suggesting exposure to natural sunlight, especially early in the day, helps reinforce the strongest circadian cue, which is when those
Excitatory.
purrs and cries are create, the ones that express and understand light and darkness. That's when they need to be triggered, is early in the day in sunlight.
Okay.
We also know that the production of vitamin D3 made by your skin after exposure to strong sunlight increases endorphins. So you're going to be happy throughout the day anyway. So
Yeah.
A good suggestion is seek out exposure to natural sunlight, especially early in the day. 2, follow a consistent sleep schedule. I know it's rough for a lot. And that pattern isn't just about going to bed. It's about things that lead to going to bed, too. Anyway, varying your bedtime or morning wake time can hinder your body's ability to adjust to a stable circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, listen, you're young, not a big deal. As you get older, you're capable of doing this. You really are. Hey, if you do it Monday through Thursday and mess it up on Friday and Saturday, woohoo kind of stuff, no big deal. As we understood it, the Monday through Thursday is enough, but you do have to create a consistent sleep schedule. As I run through some of these other things, you're going to find that a lot of things will contribute to what that schedule is going to look like. For instance, 30 minutes before you go to bed, there maybe should be a activity that again repeats itself over and over and over. And that activity should be very consistent to what will encourage a good sleep. So an activity of watching TV is not normally the best. Why? Because the blue light emitted by the TV upregulates these temporal expressions of light and dark and gives you too much light at a time where you're trying to go to sleep, and it tells your circadian clock to advance.
Right.
To retard.
Yeah.
And so, listen. So these are some of the habits to consider. Not creating a reason for your body to create excitatory neurotransmitters. Like, don't watch exciting movies or read exciting books. How about instead engage in something that's more calming? A mild book, some meditation, things like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe some meditation. I mean, there's tons of those apps now that you can put on your phone, and it's got that white noise.
Oh, yeah,
and all
right,
that
right.
kind
I've
of,
seen
like,
that.
deep breathing and those types of situations will
Yeah.
really help.
Yep. Okay. I also suggest get daily exercise. Activity during the day can support your internal clock and help it make it easier for you to fall asleep at night.
Yeah.
Okay? They are not suggesting activity within an hour of going to sleep.
No.
They're suggesting activity during the day. Excuse me. Avoid caffeine. Stimulants like caffeine can keep you awake and throw off the natural balance between sleep and wakefulness. Everyone is different. But if you're having trouble sleeping, you should try to avoid caffeine. Now, there's two ways to avoid caffeine. Completely avoid it, get it out of your system, see what happens. Caffeine's not bad for you, it just has an impact on this sleep-wake cycle. But the other suggestion that they make is just no caffeine after noon. After 12 o'clock noon, could also be sufficient. Okay? How about limit light before bed? We just talked about that a little bit. Artificial light exposure at night can interfere with your circadian rhythm. Experts advise dimming the lights, putting down electronic devices as you get closer to your sleep time. I think the normal is 30 minutes. So if you can remove this light within 30 minutes of your sleep time, you'll really have an impact on your circadian system.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's some of us that can't do that. They're like, no, I don't. I'm using my tablet to read or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, here's the interesting part. It's just the blue light. And now there are so many electronic devices. If your electronic device is less than 5 years old, you likely have access to an app that at a certain time will filter out the blue light on your electronic device. Seek it out. It works. My phone now has an automatic function at a certain time of the day. It puts a blue light filter on all by itself.
Oh.
I can't get our TVs to do it because our TVs are, I got a couple of them that are, maybe 8 years old or more.
Yeah.
And there's the blue light, what? And I really tried too. So keep that in mind. But even if you wanted to, I did check online and you can buy great big filters that will adhere to your TV screen and provide the same. But you just got to be able to take them on and off or just be okay with no blue light.
Or just not have your TV on when you go to sleep.
Right.
I mean, that used to be the law in my house when I was growing up. No TVs on.
Yeah, right. Keep naps short and early in the afternoon. So don't take late naps. And this is kind of obvious, right?
Yeah.
What it's doing is those long or late naps, again, are adjusting your sleep cadence. It doesn't know what to do, so it goes back in and tries to interpret. And it's that interpretation, much like being out of homeostasis. They actually call there is a sleep homeostasis.
Oh, wow.
Right, and most of the work that we're going to be working on over the coming months, and we'll be sharing with you, is how to maintain this sleep cadence once you've established it. I'm going to be running down that path.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be able to share those things with you. Okay, all right, so listen, we're going to wrap this show up. I love doing this episode. It was a lot of work, and I promise to keep everybody up to date. You will also find this stuff on our website. Look for the blog on sleep. And again, you can always welcome to send questions to us, either through our Instagram or through info@cannafyl.com.
Yeah, and this podcast, like all our other podcasts, are on the website. So you
Yes.
could actually even go there and listen to it again or...
And commonly go through the different episodes. Gosh, we have 100 of them. And you often will find something that is relevant to you. We've had episodes on pain, inflammation, exercise, you name it. We've had sex.
Pets.
Oh my goodness, right? Okay. So thank you, Kim, for all the help in gathering today's information. Thank you, listeners, for listening in. Really do appreciate it. Stay tuned for our show next week. I think you'll also find that one interesting. It's going to be, should you have CBD in your gym bag? And we're going to dive deep on this one. I'm a fitness nut. I got a lot of good information for you, so make sure you tune in next week for the CBD Ed Show, where we answer the question, should you have CBD in your gym bag? Okay, that is all for today. This is your host, Ed, and Kim, signing off. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Great show, guys. All clear.
Thank
All
you.
right. Our producer is happy with us because we did not go over the time. All right, guys. Hey, listen, for our friends on Facebook, feel free to reach out to us if any of this stuff needs further explanation. If your situation, some of this stuff resonated with you, but yours is a little bit, it felt like it was a little bit different, go ahead and call us up, 480-599-1003, and feel free to have a conversation. Kimberly will answer the phone. Tammy will answer. I'll answer the phone, but let us know, and then we can literally sit down and have a conversation with you over the phone to try to get to the bottom of your sleep issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I do it all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, that phone number, 480-599-1003.
Yes.
And that is it for today's show. So I'm hitting the big button now. You guys are done. Bye.